Okay. Prepping for the upcoming food shortage in the United States and a possible global famine. I'm going to give you a little introduction about myself, and then we're going to get into today's class. Okay, so first of all, my name is Jen Jones, and I am the inventor of Doshas. If you're in Ayurveda and you're familiar with any of the Ayurvedic game nights or board games, card games, workbooks, spice stickers, essential oils, that's me. One of the fields that I'm trained in is as an Ayurvedic practitioner. I'm also certified in holistic nutrition, life coaching. I'm a Reiki master teacher, Yoga Alliance CEU provider, and an instructor with the Red Cross to certify in first aid, CPR, AED. I have been teaching for over 30 years now, and it goes back to YMCA, after school programs, summer camps. I taught special education, developmentally disabled adults for 9 years, and that program got shut down. At the same time, I had had a motor vehicle accident, healing from the epiphany, which I'll get to. But the program closed down. Otherwise, I would still be there. I loved it so much. But life had other plans for me. And I ended up on the spiritual and healing journey, which took me to these different practices, which I've also taught to a variety of ages. I am a visual learner. And I bet a lot of people out there are also visual learners. So we're going to tackle some topics today using visual aids, okay? This is how I teach my programs. They're visually. And when I wasn't able to find teaching aids, I created my own, and that's what we're going to be able to, that's what we're using in class to communicate ideas. So this is how I teach, and this is also how I teach adults, because the idea is adulting is hard, and our inner child needs some love and some fun, and especially with what's going on in today's times, we need a little bit of lightness, right? And that's what I'm hoping to provide, along with useful educational information that you can apply to your and your family's life, okay? Plus, we have games and prizes and workbooks and handouts and activities and all kinds of fun stuff as we go along. So as I had mentioned, I was in an accident in 1997, and I was bedridden for the majority of 10 years. And it wasn't until alternative medicine and going on this spiritual journey, this healing journey in the spiritual path, that so many doors were opened up to me. And I began to live a more intentional life. I gathered a lot of information, and I'm here now to share it with you, just like I share with my students. Okay, so let's talk. What I have found out so far, I have been tracking food shipments, farms, delays for just about a year now. And something I will ask the managers at the grocery stores of where I'm shopping, what have you noticed about this? What about that? I'm paying attention to foods that are on the shelves. I'm watching videos. I'm doing, research to see who says what, okay? And while I've taken this information from some videos, I'm also going to share what I've found myself as well. Okay, so wheat has become an issue, and I'm going to explain why. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the foods and see which ones, and this is not a complete list, okay? This is just if we're looking at our nutrients of macros and micros, and these are our whole foods, how it's going to affect maybe processed foods that you eat, but some, I'm going to say main staples, okay? So starting with wheat, that's going to affect pasta, bread, cookies, cereal, cakes, and crackers. Rice, especially if it's coming from India or whether from the Ukraine, even if we weren't purchasing it directly, the supply is now becoming limited because of the war in Ukraine. Okay, so big issue with grains. And that's also for animals. So it's affecting feed. When I went to the local farmers market, I think it was in September, I was speaking with several of the people that had booths there, and they were saying that there was only one place in the state of New Mexico at that time that was selling organic grains because it was so difficult of what was going on in the Ukraine. Something to think about, okay? And then there's issues over in India, and they've also said that I think it's basmati is the only rice that they're exporting at this point. And even if we weren't buying that other type of rice, other countries were, but now they're trying to find their new sources. Olive oil from Spain, having issues, weather. Sesame seeds, Israel, war. Grains in Ukraine. Spices, wow. Okay, so I've got a little monthly subscription that I'm going to be starting. I don't know when I get there, but it's for organic spices used as nutraceuticals and their healing properties, because I want to be able to get spices into the hands of people that want organic. And then there's also other stuff that goes with it from my program. But I spoke with a company, and they said that it's been so difficult to find spices that meet their standards. So that's going to include organic, sorry, checking on the kitty, organic, and things like, I said, oh, fantastic. Seed. I haven't been able to find coriander seed. And they said, yeah, we haven't been able to either. And I'm like, I haven't been able to find it for a year and a half. And she said the same with them. They noticed that the coriander seeds, even though they were organic, they were still coming back that as the seed, when it was tested for gluten, it was fine. But once they ground up that seed, that there was gluten inside the seed. And these are non-GMO and organic. So they weren't qualifying for organic, through their list of qualifications for their standards for their company. So I started to stock up on and I have been stocking up on some of the organic spices because they are so important and they have incredible healing properties. So that's something to really pay attention to. Chocolate, do I even need to explain why that's an issue? Tomatoes, coming from India and California. Dairy, beans, honey, green tea and coffee, and Trader Joe's. I went in last July or August, I think it was July, looking for pumpkin seeds. Organic, raw, unsalted pumpkin seeds. They don't have them. Next month, I kept going back and I said, what's going on? And they said, hopefully by the season, pumpkin season, the pumpkin seeds will be back in. But we've had an issue because they don't meet our standards. So we haven't gotten them in. I went through all of fall and they still didn't come in. And then finally at the counter, they went on the computer and I was asking them and asking at the counter, but it finally came up in the computer, not available until next season. So Trader Joe's, now I don't know if it's their particular distributor or where, I don't know how far the outreach is. You may be able to get them on the East Coast because they have a local supplier. I don't know. That I don't know. But what I do know is that for this whole southwestern area, no pumpkin seeds until the next season, which stinks because pumpkin seeds are also quite versatile and they help fight parasites. So you eat like a tablespoon of those, apple cider vinegar with it, yips poop, helps get out the parasites. So that's something to think about, like our foods as medicine. Which foods as medicines are being pulled or do we not have access to? All right, so why don't we have access to it? Okay, so first of all, there are crop issues, droughts, floods, transportation issues. If you recall, a couple of months ago, Yellow Trucking went bankrupt. So those are truckers, independent truckers that were hauling, and now those trucks aren't available. There's truckers that are down at the southern border, which I say, thank goodness. I'm grateful for it, but that's, to help protect our country, but they're not shipping whatever it is that they were supposed, that they were shipping normally. The New York City strike, that just happened, yesterday, a day before? I don't know. By the time this uploads, it takes me like 30 hours to upload a video up here in the mountains. But the New York City, that's why I still have my snowman tin up, because we still have snow here. So New York City strike, okay, so they're not going in. There's war, there's Red Sea pirates. The Panama Canal is drying up and the ships are getting stuck out there. And also something else that's really interesting, because I told you I'm following this and I'm doing my best to pay attention to products, is Reed's ginger ale, ginger beer, that was sold. I know I could purchase it at Sprouts and at Trader Joe's. Why are there no more bottles? They're only in cans. I don't want it in a can. I want it in a bottle. And they said, sorry, because of packaging issues, that's another reason why there are foods that are missing from the shelves. We could have farms that are growing. We could have processing plants that are creating, but then if they don't have the packaging to put it in, they told me that the food is actually like going to waste and rotting. A lot of companies, one, went out of business. I don't know the percentage. This is what I was told from a manager at Trader Joe's. During COVID, the beginning of the pandemic, and as the pandemic progressed, especially if people weren't able to get out to go into the factory, if it wasn't considered an essential service, and then because they weren't able to create the materials, they lost the business, and now it's too late for them to go back into business. And I was like, well, what about the glass bottles? And she said, actually, there's a glass shortage. And they're trying to use it for things like tomato sauce and foods that would go bad if it was used. Like you can't put that in a plastic bag or, like a pasta box. It has to be, glass bottle. So they get priority. What about all the recycling that we've been doing for all of these years and rinsing it out and doing all of this? Well, a lot of it gets shipped overseas and other countries are like, yeah, we'll take your recycling and your trash and we'll pay you for it. Which I have a whole nother thing on recycling and a really cool hippie that warned me about this, I don't know, about 15, 16 years ago. So packaging, believe it or not, is also an issue. Okay, so today what we're going to do is how to get more bang from our buck and look into nutrient-dense foods and thinking about food as medicine. We're going to look into versatile foods in this little series, and today we are starting with chickpeas. So let's get to it. Okay, so now we know that chickpeas have protein, right? Okay, but let's talk about what a complete protein is. All right, here we have a little house, and we have the 9 essential amino acids represented. You'll see what I mean. We have the foundation, we have the subflooring, then we have the flooring inside. We have the structure, we have the walls, we have the door, a window, a blue roof, and a chimney. The blue roof is so that it's protected against lasers. Sorry. I just had to. Chimney, really, I know we don't all have chimneys, yes, but the idea is you could live in this house with electricity and hauling water in, but if you don't have a heating source, that's why I made it an essential. You have to have some kind of heating source if you're in a cold area, right? Go with me. Okay, so complete protein would be all of these 9. There are 18 amino acids, but 9 of them are essential because those ones we have to get through our diet, okay? So if you're missing one, I mean, that's not real great. Anybody, anything could get in through that window, right? So you need to have all of these parts for everything to function as a complete unit, okay? So beans are missing methionine. I always get, that was a tongue twister for me, and cysteine, okay? To make it into a complete protein, we'll take the beans. You can add rice. Rice has lysine, missing lysine. This has lysine. This has the cysteine and methionine. Methionine. Oh my God, let it go. I'll type it down in the comment section so you can look it up. And so I don't know why I'm stuck on that one. It's funny. Methionine. There you go, methionine. That's it. Okay, so this makes a complete protein. But something else that also makes a complete protein is nuts and seeds if you eat them with beans. And I'll tell you why soon, because we're going to get to what I made with this combination. But knowing that, yes, these are a great source of protein, but it's not a complete protein. That pairing it with something else, and as you can see, Trader Joe's, I love it, Trader Joe's. And the reason we also want to do organic, actually, I'll get to that in a moment. But the idea is now we're looking at making a complete protein, okay? Chickpeas. All right, let me get to my notes because I don't want to make any mistakes of what it was. I want to stick to the topics here. Okay, because I could go off on a tangent. There's just, I love this topic. And there's a lot to say. I love talking about food. Okay, so let's look into this combination. Okay, so I have food cards here from, these are two of my games, Farmer's Market, that's me on the back, and Grow Strong. And we're going to use cards from these two games to discuss and talk about the nutrient properties of chickpeas, okay? So, or garbanzo beans, however you know it. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first, we've got the grains and beans, and then the nuts and seeds. And then I also took this one from Farmer's Market because we're going to look at the macros and micros. So when we take these cards, one of the games, the Farmer's Market, what you're doing is you're learning how to pair foods and make recipes, but we get points for different things like successful pairings. So here we go. Together, the almonds or almond butter and garbanzo beans. I know, look at this. Out of all the cards, this is the one with wrong font. And of course, that's the one I'm using today that I pulled out. This is from the prototype deck. So, you know what? We make mistakes. Tis what tis. You know, I'll figure it out. It's already fixed, but you know, next time, just be careful again. Okay, so complete protein between the two of these. Now, let's see. If we have beans, which have vitamin A, E, and K, and we add the almond butter, which has fat, that makes, it allows the fat-soluble vitamins to be absorbed. So, yay, we get a point for that, too. We're up to 2 points. All right, magnesium and the almond butter needs B6 to be absorbed, which is in the chickpeas. Zinc in the almond butter needs vitamin C to be absorbed better. Zinc in the almond butter with vitamin A in the garbanzo beans. We're up to 5 points. Let's see. Sulfur in the garbanzo beans with the calcium in the almond butter. Strengthens bones. And then protein in both. Iron in both, and vitamin C in the garbanzo beans. The body uses 3 times more energy to metabolize, which helps weight loss, which is great when you see what I made, because I'm like, weight loss. You'll see. Okay, so let's go through the top facts on the garbanzo beans. First of all, you can get an idea of, see those little dots on the top? Okay, so carbohydrates, you can see how many carbohydrates are in the garbanzo beans, how much protein, and how much fat. Then it also has a listing of the micronutrients, and according to the sprouts here in my town, they are $2.49 per pound. So depending on what area you're in, but that was probably also for organic beans, because I know you can get a bag for $1. Okay, it depends on where you're shopping. So let's read the benefits and why. Hey, if I'm going to add garbanzo beans to my diet, why would I want to do that? First of all, we will get to the anti-nutrients, but good for red blood cell creation because of the iron. Rich in B6, helps the body absorb magnesium-rich foods like beets. Hummus and vegetables need fat to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. Now, I included this in this game because I want you to understand this is what you find when you do research, okay? So it says do not eat more than 150 grams of beans. Some say a maximum of 70 a day. Others say eat a minimum of 100 grams a day because of side effects, which include bloating, gas, and nausea. Yeah, well, the government also says something else. And we're going to get to that in a moment. They can help lower cholesterol. Soluble fiber is good for gut health and can lessen LDLs. Lower density lipoproteins. You could use the flour for body wash and the face mask. So it's got multi-purpose. It has protein, may help weight management, helps mouth ulcers, bronchitis, and may support blood sugar regulation. Probably because of the fiber as well. Okay, promotes brain cardiovascular health, can help skin diseases, boosts circulation, and helps eliminate toxins, helps enlarge liver, lowers glycemic index. And if you'll see down here, because this is for the kids to be able to follow along of, it's good for your brain, it's good for your liver, it helps your poopies, or helps with your poops, and it's also good for blood sugar. Okay, so these are the healing properties and benefits of eating garbanzo beans. And if this is from my workbook, let's look up dosha. And right here, this is good for pitta. Vata's over here, good for pitta and good for kapha. And as we can see, it is good for pittas and kaphas. Okay. So now let's see. All right. So what can we make? I know it's all art. I got shortcomings. These are my drawings. Okay, so what can we make with chickpeas? And here I have chickpeas, the edible seed of flowering plants. And that's kind of what it looks like. And the chickpeas are in these pods. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so what are things we can make? Hummus. We can make chickpea blondies. We can make brownies. We can make chickpea tacos. Oh, chana masala. Roasted chickpeas, all different types of cookies, chocolate chip, and that's supposed to be trail mix. I know nobody's putting me on their Pictionary team. You can make bread. You can toast that bread. You can also make tuna with it and a chickpea salad and put that on bread. Here, these are falafel. Soup. All right, so, any kind of soup or mulligatawny. Oh, I love mulligatawny so much. Well, I did when I could eat dairy. Okay, then we have meatballs, meatloaf, and even you could bake burgers. I forgot to include that one. Then we have adding to a salad and even including in a roasted pepper. Okay. So as you can see here, they cover breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, and snack. And as far as breakfast, I definitely propose that these are okay breakfast foods just because I try to be naughty. Or even I have made the bread and sliced it and toasted it up in the iron skillet, the cast iron skillet. Amazing. I can't eat bread, so awesome substitute. All right, so now if we look down here, what's an issue? Glyphosate, that's something that we have to be concerned with. Histamines, if you have an histamine issue, you can have some, but there is limitations because it does trigger histamines. And then we also have to pay attention to the fact of, beans are they have anti-nutrients. So that means it's going to block other nutrients from being absorbed. Even it's like, wow, we just went through that list. If you have magnesium and right, and adding it together, if you have this, you have that, you have this, you have that, how are they working together? But the problem is that because it's an anti-nutrient, it's going to block some of those. So out of all of these, we're going to do going to ask you a question. Which one out of these do you think would be an issue? Actually, I just saw two. I thought there was one, but there are actually two. Salad and hummus if the beans aren't cooked. And even if they're canned, and I know that they're cooking them again, making sure if they're dry, they're well soaked, right? So that you cook them, that will help reduce those anti-nutrient properties. There is still some that's left behind, and I can't recall the woman's name, but she does this whole thing on how to cure cancer with eating beans. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm not promoting that. I'm saying that I know that she's a very famous woman that does this, and I haven't sat in on her program to understand how people could eat beans where there's no phytonutrients, because I believe that's all she has them eating, which is interesting because we're about to get to the yeses and the nos of when and when not to do beans. Okay, so down. Okay, so let me read through the list here. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, irritable bowel syndrome, gastroparesis because it's high in fiber, if you have diarrhea, gastroenteritis. It says lactose intolerance. Like, I'll look that up. I knew the other ones, but I was like, let me just check and see if there's anything else, because there are so many diets that are yay or nay on particular ingredients. And they said lactose intolerance, and I didn't find that anywhere else. So I added it to our list to be cautious when you're doing your research, because if something looks a little odd or a little out of place, then go backtrack using that as a keyword and to research it again to see, is this really true? Okay, you have to do work. People are posting things just so that they can get likes, and it's nonsense. Okay, so you have to do your work. Now, if you're on a low FODMAP diet, they say under a quarter cup or under. SIBO is under a quarter can or under. Now, what's interesting is on one page for the My Plate and the government, the government website for our food plate, one protein equals 1/4 cup cooked. But then somewhere else on a different page, it says half cup. That's if you're vegetarian. And you can have, for adults, up to 3 servings, and kids are up to 6 servings. Now, which is funny because on which card is it? Oh, I just told you. On this card here, what does it say? Don't eat more than 150 grams. Don't eat more than 70 grams. Others say eat a minimum of 100 grams. How are you supposed to know? Well, how do you feel? Are you bloated? Are you gassy? I don't have any with me right now. I'm all out. Asafoetida. Asafoetida is a resin, and it's used in food to help reduce the gaseous properties, carminative as well. Helps you with gas in your body. You have to be careful because that one is not necessarily always gluten-free. And I learned that one the hard way because it's a resin, so it has to be mixed with something else. And sometimes, depending on what the carrier is. And I just found out that, what are they at? Methi. They're adding it at the local shop. So it was like, great, because I can have that. But they do use other things to break the resin down and make it easier and more dispersed. Okay, so be careful when you're looking for that. But that when I'm cooking with the beans, I love using. That's why I have none left, and I have to get more. And so I wanted to show you chickpeas in the can. I don't have a bag of dried chickpeas. I haven't been able to find them organic, and to be honest with you, my body cannot handle any more than it can handle. I eat whole foods. I make just about everything from scratch. I'm not doing coconut milk. I'm not making my own cocoa. I'm not making my own mustard. I used to, but it's not like creamy or Dijon the way I like it. So I'm buying it, but otherwise I make everything else from scratch. So I have in a can, and then also the chickpea flour. Chickpea flour, just, oh my gosh, I almost forgot about this caution. I did not know for a while in the beginning when I was using chickpea flour that it's nasty. If you're making up your brownies or something and you want to try it and, you're not using eggs, maybe you're using flax eggs, it's totally safe, right? No, it is not. First of all, don't eat raw bean flour of any beans. Don't eat it. It's not good for you. It could have parasites. It could have bacteria, whatever that's within it that needs to get cooked off. Okay, so do not eat it raw. But also, it's super, super astringent and nasty, and it tasted like I ate like I want to say a bitter gourd or something. And I was so upset, and I didn't know, and I thought it was oh my gosh, I used what was I making? Butternut squash. That's what it was. Butternut squash bread with it. And I thought I got a bad gourd. I was like, oh, no. And I threw everything away, and I was so upset because everything was organic, and I didn't know that all it had to do was be baked. So don't be eating off the spoon because you'll throw it away. You won't like it. And do not base your judgment off that, and don't do it. Okay. So my last thing that I wanted to show you, what did I make? Black bean brownie. I did like a little trail mix on the top here. Very excited to dig into this soon. And for my medical patients, ghee, medicated ghee. And so this way, if I want to keep nibbling at the brownie, I'm not going to keep getting a couple milligrams every time I do. This is 20 milligrams of frosting in here. So then, and I made this with my medicated ghee, tahini, Trader Joe's, organic raw cacao powder, and organic maple syrup. Okay, and so I can put this on my brownie, and since I use way less sweetener, I use maple syrup in there. Because this has sweet in it, when I eat it, this will hit my tongue and everything will taste sweet. So I don't need the additional sweet. This is how we make it into a complete protein, and food is medicine. So I want to thank you all so very much. If you are still with me, please like. You can subscribe. You don't have to. If you subscribe, then it will come up in your mailbox. But, you know, algorithms, I don't know what they're doing with that. But if you like, then I'll know, first of all, that you like this content and you want more of it. If you like it, it'll also get it out to other people that, honestly, I really feel like we need to cover one another's backs right now. Things are getting crazy in the world, and I really am trying to get this information out to as many people as possible. The one thing that is most important to me is to realize that we don't want to feed fear, and we can be more empowered with wisdom and knowledge. Okay. So, and the other thing was, yes, organic. So if you can't afford organic, there's no judgments. I am telling you, the food is medicines and the reasons why. Everything is up to you to make your own judgments. But one thing that not only Dr. Lott and several other teachers at my school have said, I also learned this in Reiki as well, is that no matter what, you can bless your food. Bless your food to give you the healing and nutritive properties that you need from it, so that it works with your body. Say a prayer and bless your food. Okay. So I just want to tell everyone, shine your light. All nature is beacon. Get empowered. And let's start learning together. Namaste.